Started streaming. We're live! Welcome to Push a Shout Podcast 48 episode. Mike.
Skip.
Intro. Hello, welcome to the Push a Shout Podcast episode 48. I'm your host, Talking Powder. With me tonight is the lovely Skippy Sigmatic, and I don't have much to talk about.
I don't have a ton to talk about either. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We always say that, and then sometimes
there's some drama. There's some drama afoot.
There is drama.
We got some voice actors union shenanigans. We've got Donald Trump leading the polls.
Yeah.
Louis C.K. is a funny dude. Let's talk about that. So you got back into Louis?
I did. I'd seen the first, I want to say 3 seasons before, and loved them. And I don't know. I was sick for the last few days, and I needed something to distract myself. And I said, I'm just going to rewatch the first season of Louis. And I did. And I watched it all in one sitting. And I liked it even more than I remember liking it the first time. It is such a good show. It is unbelievably good. Like, I can't believe that just a comedian with no writing or directing experience put that show together. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I think we've talked about it.
Pretty sure I'm caught up, but I don't remember all that much that happened in the 4th season. Can you refresh me on something?
Well, I haven't gotten to the 4th season. I just rewatched the first season, and part of the reason I did that is because I've been meaning to catch up on it because I haven't watched the recent couple seasons.
I remember the 4th season being pretty good, but I can't actually remember that much.
The only thing I've
season
heard
3
is
one of my
that
favorite.
I think he just finished season 5 or something. I heard that the latest season, whatever that is, isn't as good, but I don't know. It would still probably be pretty good.
It's so surprising.
It is.
It's well, where do you even start?
I'll start on episode 9 of season 1 is the best episode of season 1, at least, in my opinion. It's the one where he goes to a donut shop late at night with a date, and the date's going really well, and then a bunch of high schoolers come in and they're being rowdy in the donut shop, and he tells them to settle down, and one of them comes over and says that he's gonna beat the shit out of him unless he apologizes to him, and Louis, being a father of 2 and an older guy and not much of a fighter, apologizes to the kid in front of his date, and his date says that it really turned her off, and that she feels bad about it, but that she just isn't attracted to someone who could degrade themselves like that. And he's like, well, what did you want me to do? Just get beaten up? And she was like, well, no, but it didn't change the fact that it turned me off. I'm sorry. and just the way that the conversation plays out, like, oh god, it's cringy, but not like, and then it's not the classic like The Office kind of cringy. It's a different kind. It's realistic. It's ugh.
And then he doesn't stop there. Then he makes it surreal, and he follows the kid back home, and like sees what the family life is like, and talks to the father outside, and they share a cigarette, and it's like, my father, that's how he raised us, by the belt. It's like such a great show.
It's incredible that like you've already got this great concept of what happens in the little donut shop itself, but then like as a viewer, you're sitting there going like, I know he wouldn't, and I know this would be a bad idea, but he should punch that kid in the face. And then he follows the kid home, and you find out, well, the kid's been beat by his father, all his life, and it's like, oh my god, this is such a more complicated thing than, and these are like little 20-minute episodes. Yeah, it's just like he crams so much shit in there that is really meaningful, but at the same time, sometimes just scatological humor and stuff. Like he'll just. It's the mixture of
the kid
types of comedy.
Diarrhea's the bathtub.
Oh my god!
Like, looks like Coca-Cola.
Yeah, and what is the other one? Where his sister is she's pregnant.
Yeah, she's pregnant with a.
Yeah, and
I don't want to spoil the punchline.
Yeah. Basically, the entire episode is a lead up to one punchline. That is.
But on the way to the punchline, it touches on so many little.
Oh yeah.
Philosophical things.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it effortless. Those big picture digressions. It manages to do it by being funny almost all of the time, and then when it just puts things in a little bit of a different light, it can be profound.
And it disguises it as comedy most of the time.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you'll get a whole episode that isn't really funny at all, and but it somehow
Louis
it doesn't feel
talking
out of place.
to his ex-wife, or
Yeah. Oh my god, it goes some places, and then you get episodes that are just completely surreal and ridiculous, and some of them don't really have that much meaning behind them, but he manages to just toss it all in the pot, and
I love whenever
I love it.
Whenever his wife is around, because she's black and it's just not even mentioned that the kids are white.
The kids are like very white, like Aryan white.
It's just like, that's
how the show is.
Why
it's
not?
Just like, yeah, like there's no continuity really.
Yeah,
like there's overarching storylines, but sometimes they'll just like completely change. I think at one point like an actor changes. Maybe it was his wife. I think his wife was one actor at one point and then another at a different. I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah. So but he just doesn't even acknowledge it, and it's great. Louis great. I cannot recommend it more. What isn't so great is the other thing that I watched.
Oh, okay. What did you watch, Skippy? What did you see?
It's time for Push to Shout's wrestling update. There was a pay-per-view. There was a pay-per-view. It was Night of Champions. There's not much to say about the pay-per-view. There's really not much to say about the pay-per-view.
I'm sure you'll find a way.
The only reason I brought this up is because I like to explain wrestling plots to people who don't have any context or anything. And so the big wrestling plot that's going on right now is that Seth Rollins, the championship holder,
I guess,
he won his match at the end of Night of Champions, and then Sheamus, who has a briefcase with a contract in it that he can cash in at any time to fight for the belt, he runs into the ring and he says, I'm going to cash in my contract and we're going to fight for the belt right now, and it's going to be a guaranteed win because Seth Rollins just had a big fight. But then before he can do it, out comes Kane, who is the Undertaker's brother from like the Attitude Era, like 90s wrestling, and he's got this face mask thing. And Kane has been a character in modern wrestling for a while without the mask, called Corporate Kane. He wears a suit and he does business stuff behind the scenes, and sometimes he goes out in the ring and beats people up. But this is Demon Kane because he wears a mask.
Demon Kane.
Demon Kane.
A mask.
Kane. God. And Kane beats up Sheamus.
I'm just looking for it now.
And Raw that was the next night, and Kane is there, but it's Corporate Kane this time without the mask, and he doesn't remember being Demon Kane the night before. He's just acting like it never happened. So there's this storyline where you don't know if he turns into a completely different person when the mask comes on, or if they are two different people. It's totally absurd. And the way that Raw ended is that Corporate Kane starts talking to Seth Rollins, and he turns evil, and the lighting goes all dark, and he says, "Rollins, I'm coming for you," or something like that. And then the lights go dark, and fire shoots up from the ring, and out comes Kane, ripping open the canvas of the ring, and pulls Rollins down into the ring, and steam comes up, and I guess Rollins is in hell with Kane now. So
Hell is part of the WWE canon now?
Hell is definitely part of, because that's not the first person who's been dragged into the ring by either Kane or The Undertaker. There's...
So is The Undertaker in, like, the storylines? Is The Undertaker actually a demon of some sort? Like a creature from another realm?
It just depends on what storyline it is at the time.
Okay.
Because there's a version of The Undertaker who's called the American Badass, and he rides around on a motorcycle, and he's just a dude.
Yeah, just
like, he's just a guy.
How can that concept possibly apply? A version of a person.
But then there's the other Undertaker who, like, people, like, one guy threw him into a coffin and lit the coffin on fire, and the coffin burned up, and Undertaker's dead. But then, like, a few months later, the Undertaker rises out of another coffin and he's alive again. He gets resurrected all the time, and then he's got an urn that holds his soul. And if someone wants to summon the Undertaker, they get the urn.
That's funny.
It's crazy shit, man. Also, I don't have much to say about video games. I started streaming last night because I was bored, and I lost all my viewers because I started playing Rocket League and Counter-Strike Go, and nobody ever wants to watch that stuff. But I had fun.
It depends on who you are. If you're the type to just run your mouth and interact with the chat and let's get a giveaway going, guys, and thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe below, and then you could just stream Dota or Rocket League or anything,
I guess.
And alert whenever somebody subscribes so that people will pay literally just to have their name show up on the stream. But people like you, Flimsy, even me, they'd rather watch us play single-player games.
I don't usually get many viewers anyway, but the way that I do get viewers is by just kind of chilling out and talking to the chat, and I don't do that when I'm playing Counter-Strike, really. So,
you gotta focus.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it would be entertaining to watch me play those kinds of games because I get really frustrated and angry, but I guess it's not entertaining enough. I guess I'm just a boring person.
You aren't the angriest gamer I've ever heard.
Yeah, well, I also started playing a little bit of The Witcher 3 today, just to get back into it. I think I realized why I stopped playing. I stopped playing right at the beginning of what is definitely like the last section of quests. Like, it's a part of the game where it's like, all right, you need to do this list of things so that this major thing can happen. And I think I stopped playing because I was afraid of ending the game. But I think those quests are going to take a long time anyway. Like, it's probably another 10 hours. So lots more Witcher to play.
I have decided to finally transfer my Witcher 2 save for my laptop because it doesn't cloud save, and that's what it's been. I've just been too lazy to transfer it. But I'm going to be finishing The Witcher 2 as quickly as possible because I want to play The Witcher 3. And also on the agenda, in the much shorter term, is a Metal Gear Solid 5 story video.
Yeah, I thought that was coming out last weekend. Or not last weekend, but maybe.
I got sick, basically.
Oh.
Everything's written. It's all done and ready to record. Today I'm still wheezing up mucus, but it's basically over, so I'm going to start recording it tomorrow.
So you say start recording. Have you only written it and you haven't edited together any kind of video?
No, of course not.
Oh, okay.
Do you do it in a different order? I've captured footage.
It kind of, I don't know. Every time I try to write something and then turn it into a video, I find that I need to change it so much that I might as well kind of go, I'll write an outline kind of draft thing, and I'll kind of do it as I go. I'll have little sections that I record and edit and record and edit. But again, I almost never finish my videos that I try to make that way, so I can't say that that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, that usually doesn't take me too long. Actually, assembling it is pretty easy, unless there's a lot of music synced stuff.
Yeah,
but that's usually only in the videos that are ostensibly funny.
Yeah.
The serious ones are pretty straightforward. So.
Where are you getting your footage? How are you?
I'm capturing it. Except for footage from other Metal Gear games, I'm just gonna grab those off YouTube. But because I don't have I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I agree.
Ship my PS3 out from Texas, so I can capture the end of Metal Gear Solid 4.
So are you replaying through it to get cutscene footage or what?
No, I'm just going back to certain key points. And by the way, replaying the hospital scene for the 5th time, or not 5. It's how many times at this point? 4, because I played it at the beginning of the game, and then before I got to the end, I was like, okay, I'm gonna play it again because that was cool, and already it was wearing thin.
Yeah.
And so the 3rd time I played it, I was like, God damn it. And then the 4th time was when I was recording it, and I was just losing it because you don't realize how on rails it is until you're forced to replay it. Yeah, you were forced to replay it. But when you're forced to replay it 3 times, I just was I was losing my mind. I was zooming the camera in and out, just twitchy, freakishly fast. I was finding a way to, when you turn and you press R1, your view will snap very quickly, and so if you keep turning and keep tapping R1, then you're just kind of like turning around very quickly. That's the only thing you can do during these long cutscenes where you just have to watch Ishmael's ass crack move. God.
I was a little annoyed just playing through it the first time because there was so much of it that I'd already seen. Like, especially the part where you're paralyzed and you're having to crawl down the hallway and stuff. I'd already seen all that because I've watched that gameplay footage that was like the very first thing released about the game over and over, and so that was frustrating. But then they add in little things, and I'm like, okay, there's a lot of here I haven't seen. And then obviously the second time through, I was just like, all right, fuck this. I wanted to wait all the way through that last cutscene. Like so I started skipping through cutscenes because I realized, okay, these aren't any different. Like I was waiting for something to be different, and it never was. And then I skipped the cutscene where I guess like the tank starts fighting Volgan and the Man on Fire, and I skipped that cutscene and it went all the way to the end and it said like mission over, and I was like, oh shit, I probably missed something important. Maybe it wasn't mission over, but it went to it wasn't mission over. I did see the big boss cutscene, but it went all the way to when the ambulance was already crashed, and I was like, shit, I missed a lot just now. But
you didn't really miss anything.
I didn't miss anything I hadn't already seen. I know that much. So that's annoying.
Yeah, so there've been
a
couple. Yeah, I'll just talk about my video instead of the ending. There's been a couple videos. One is Super Bunny Hop. Hyperbit Hero made one as well. I was kind of nervous when those came out because I'm like, oh, are they going to say the same things?
Yeah.
But turns out they don't really. They're more big picture. Look at the general disappointments of the game. So I'm proud to be first to market on a very structured look at why the ending and the story is broken. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
I was talking about...
It's hard to find time lately. Like, I have played no video games except for like popping on every once in a while for like an hour of Project M or something. Like, I've been hitting the books.
Yeah.
Making it happen.
I was talking about Fallout 4 at some point this week, and I realized that I've got to make at least some kind of video about just why I think that everyone who likes Bethesda games are deluding themselves, and try to put that like opinion into words, because it's something that just like it's an opinion I've had for a long time, and that I've had almost nobody nobody agree with me about it, and I want to like do an actual, I don't know, at least write up an essay first on it. So that's probably my next project, and maybe I'll talk about The Witcher during that and all that stuff. But that's those things are hard to make. I always give up halfway through, but hopefully I won't this time.
The other thing that I've been meaning to do is play Undertale.
Me too.
I forgot about playing the demo, but there was a short demo released. I don't remember how long ago. It might have been a year or 2 or 3, but it's been a long time coming, and I couldn't even tell you all that much about what I played. There was like a mercy system, like you, instead of killing the animals that you find, the wild creatures that you have random encounters with, you can spare them, and it was funny. And it was actually fun as well. So I don't want to learn more about it. Like, I don't want to look up what that full thing actually is, because I remember it was very charming and unexpected in a lot of the things it did. So I'd like to keep the surprise.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talking about how, like, not necessarily like spoilers, like story-wise, but more like general spoilers of like the themes of the game and stuff. Like, people try to avoid talking about it. So people have been freaking out about it, and I've been meaning to get in and play it. I was not interested at all until I just saw the general, like, everyone loves this game thing. But like watching, they had like a little trailer for it on Steam that I watched, and it was like, okay, this just looks like a quirky like SNES era RPG game, and I don't know if that's up my alley at all, really. And but then I actually watched like 2 minutes of footage from the beginning of the game, and I said, okay, I have to play this. Like, it was not even just that tiny little segment of the game. I was like, okay, I can already see that this is going places that I want to experience for myself. So I will probably play that very soon, because that's basically just next on my list, and I hope I like it a lot.
Yeah. So this is what I meant by not having all that much to talk about, because when I have to talk about Chan drama in the news section, it means there might not be that much going on. But there is some legitimate Chan drama that's worth talking about.
This is on you, because I don't know much about it.
Okay. I'll give the Cliff Notes version. The Cliff Notes version is anonymous image boards are dying and they're dead. 4chan was bought by, I forget the guy's name. It sounded like Hiroshima, some Japanese name. The point is, he founded 2channel, which is what 4chan was based on, and he sold user personal information to like data mining companies.
Nice.
When he was running that there. And turns out also that 8chan was quietly bought by some guy. So, I mean, it's basically over.
The internet has been told it's done. The only forum I've been on recently is Star Citizen, because there's rumors flying out around about how Star Citizen is letting some employees go, and it looks like internal things are happening in the company that are like indicative of it being in a financial crisis right now. I don't know how true those rumors are. They are just rumors.
What's the main not scam artist's name for legal clarification? What's his name?
Wait, what are you talking? Not scam? What?
The guy who's totally
the guy
not
who's like running
a fraud con.
I don't remember.
Cheat.
I know the company's called, I think, RSI.
Anyway, that
Space
guy,
Industries is the last. It's something Space Industries, which like I don't. Anyway,
that guy is suspending all business to become Donald Trump's running mate this season.
That's not true. And so yeah, there's a lot of rumors flying around, and I think they're pretty much unsubstantiated. But
yes, the financial ruin will come. Don't jump the gun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you don't need the rumors to know that it'll all be a big failure. Like that's guaranteed. You just don't.
Speaking of failure, Mighty Number 9 release date pushed back even further. Of course.
People seem to be, unsurprisingly, pretty disappointed with what they've seen out of that Kickstarter so far. What a surprise! Remember when everyone was freaking out about people being negative about that Kickstarter, like when it was first a thing, and everyone was like, "You're just not giving it a chance." And also, you're sexist because you don't like the community advisor or whatever that they hired. And now it's bad and everyone hates it, including the people who were saying that. The sexists and racists of the internet are always right. In the end, they always get the last word. No. Anyway, Star Citizen, the forums are real. You should go to the Reddit page for Star Citizen. And the best part, Chris Roberts, thank you, chat, is the name of the guy. But yeah, the Reddit forums, my favorite part about the Reddit forums is that you go through and you see all these ridiculous things that people say, like, I built a $10,000 PC
gaming battle station, man.
Yes, and it was just for this game. And the funny thing about that is, like, by the time the game comes out, all of his stuff might be outdated anyway. But anyway, those forums are really entertaining. And then my favorite part of the forums was seeing someone say, the official forums on the actual website for the Star Citizen game are where the fanatics go, and that the Reddit forums are where all the moderates are. So there's some crazy people. That has become a lifestyle for people. People ask, like, what job should I get where I can play this game at the job? They're already, like, planning out their lives around this game. It's, like, literally religious fanaticism levels of craziness. Like, that is not really an exaggeration. You need to see what people are saying about this shit. They've spent tons of money on it, and a lot of them can't really afford it, and it's crazy. We've talked about that before.
Seriously fucked up.
It's crazy. And
the longer the bleeding goes, it gets less funny.
Because it's so real. Yeah. But like, it's also still funny to me. But it's also unbelievable. Like I mean, people do crazy shit all the time. But like, there's just something about this thing existing that is worth $80-something million, and it's just all those dollars are just donated with no guarantee that it's unbelievable that that's a thing. You explain that to someone who's never heard of Star Citizen or crowdfunding, and their minds will be blown. I've done it before.
Where's the return? Is what they'll say.
Yeah, it's craziness. All right, more
returns,
news.
So, what happened to Fig? Did anything happen to Fig?
I think I'm pretty sure the
Outer Wilds ended.
Outer Wilds has been funded. I don't know if they've announced what their next crowdfunding goal will be, or crowdfunding project will be. But that one I think has been funded, so I guess they're making it. I guess that's a thing now.
All right.
I'm trying to follow it. I should look into that more because I've been kind of ignoring it.
So what's the deal with TwitchCon? What's the deal?
TwitchCon.
TwitchCon.
I think this is the second annual TwitchCon, but maybe it's the first. I don't remember. I remember it being announced, but I don't remember when that was. Anyway, TwitchCon is a con for Twitchers.
Twitchers. I'm a Twitcher.
And so, as you can imagine, it's meme central.
It's a very sleek website, I have to say.
A lot of the stuff they've been
one of the best designed
websites
sleek. I've seen.
Their live broadcasts have been pretty sleek, actually. They've been well done. I think they know their audience really, really well because. So the only thing I really tuned in on was I heard that there was competitive H1Z1 being played.
Jesus.
And I was
Why?
like, all right, I gotta
disgusting.
I have to see what the fuck this is all about. And so, have you ever played the Battle Royale mode of like Arma 3? You probably have not played that. Obviously. Oh my god, every podcast. I need to fucking turn that off. Anyway, so Battle Royale in Arma 3 was this mode where you're on an island with a bunch of people, and it's like 32 players scattered all around, trying to pick up weapons and supplies and stuff in a DayZ style thing. But there's no zombies or anything. It's just player versus player, and you try to be the last player alive. And a circle on the maps decreases and decreases, and if you're outside of the circle, you slowly die. And so eventually everyone gets pushed into the center, or not the center of the map necessarily, but yeah, so it forces the conflict. And H1Z1 has done the same thing. It's a gas cloud that slowly envelops the map, and it's actually pretty crazy. I think they have like 100 and something people in one map, and these commentators and these camera operators, I guess you could call them, like the spectators of the match, are trying to like keep up with everything that's happening, and it's complete chaos, obviously. And I was actually legitimately entertained. It was stupid. It was really, really dumb. But they were also like, they were treating it as a stupid thing. Like they weren't taking it seriously at all. The commentators were like joking around, and even like the players in the game were kind of obviously like doing crazy shit that wasn't like very serious. So I think it was like a bunch of streamers and stuff that like they got to play the game. I don't know how they chose everyone, but like it wasn't like, it's not like there's pro H1Z1 players. It's just a thing that they put on, and I was actually entertained by it. But yeah, they seem like they're actually doing a pretty good job with this convention. All I know though is that there's a hall in the convention center called the Kappa Hall.
Great.
It's got a big Kappa face.
There is also a women in gaming panel at the TwitchCon.
Well, that's just a standard convention. Like you have to have one of those. It's actually like so. It's actually a legal requirement.
So
the UN said so.
Actually, that reminds me. I was watching South Park.
Oh yes.
Earlier today.
The season premiere.
And there's 2 episodes now. So I saw the season premiere.
Seen the second one.
I saw the season premiere, and it's all about the politically correct SJW. That's what the episode is about.
Yep.
And I just remember thinking it was very funny in some ways, when Randy was literally regurgitating rhetoric.
Like that was... Jonathan McIntosh tweets, like, basically to a T.
and like, while physically vomiting. Like, so that was great. But it felt very awkward, the way they introduced this PC principal character and then didn't go anywhere with it. They bring him back in the next episode. Really? So now it's becoming clear that it felt like it didn't fully make its point.
Yeah, I felt that way too.
And now I understand why, because this is a whole season-long bit.
It's probably just a new character. It's probably a semi-permanent character.
Even like the Kyle subplot that's continuing. Like there's a continuous serialized story this South Park season.
That's great. I'm happy to hear that. I'm gonna have to look up that second episode. I liked the first one, but I agree with you. Like it felt kind of like really
it felt like it
such
got
a huge subject.
It made a classic South Park like comparison where look, the SJWs are kind of like a frat chanting, and it's like, okay, and that's funny, but they didn't seal the deal. But it turns out they weren't trying to, so they were just setting something up.
I can't believe that South Park remains to be a legitimately good show.
It's been
going on our whole lives.
It's always. That's the thing about The Simpsons. The Simpsons sucks ass now because it worked so well when there was more content to make episodes of. But The Simpsons is all about universal family drama, and if you get a bad grade at school or your boss is a dick, those kind of universal situations. And South Park is always what's happening right now in popular culture or in the news or in politics, and so it always has new material.
Yeah, the fact that they make an episode in 6 days means that they can always be completely topical, and that keeps you kind of tuned in. And it also like that season premiere, I hadn't even thought about South Park for probably like 2 years, And then suddenly there's the season premiere where everyone's tweeting about it and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I gotta watch this now. I feel like I'm back into it, and I'm gonna have to keep watching. It's smart. They are Trey and Matt. I have that South Park video game, and I haven't played it. I forgot I owned it.
It's actually good.
I know. I heard it was very good. I'm looking forward to playing it. But
I'll just tease you for this second episode of the season. Canadian Donald Trump getting fucked to death.
Oh, great.
It's like the first episode was kind of limp, and then they're just okay. This is one of the more memorable episodes in the whole show's history.
Good.
And yeah, that's good. It's good. South Park's good. Good show.
You want to talk about video games?
Yeah. What's up with that?
This is just tiny little thing I wanted to mention. City Skyline got an update. It's actually got like a DLC out that's like $15, and it's got new buildings and stuff. But basically, the update is it has a night cycle now, and so you can see the city at night. And like the update has a bunch of or the DLC has a bunch of buildings and stuff that go along with like nightlife. I guess I'm thinking about getting back into it because what I did with it, I mentioned it on this podcast where I was playing it and I was enjoying it a lot, but then I kind of stopped playing it, partly because other games were coming out that I wanted to play,
right?
And also because I reach a point usually with these city builders where like the city is way too big for me to micromanage the way I want to.
Yeah.
And I sit there micromanaging, and I don't get anywhere because I'm not carefree enough with it. But I want to get back into it and try to change my mindset when it comes to that stuff, because it's just I always hit this like point where the city just can't grow anymore because I'm trying to scramble to get everything perfect, make everyone as happy as possible. But that's part of the fun of it too. But anyway, yeah, maybe I don't know. I'll play that pretty soon probably. Maybe I'll even stream it. I think that's a fun game to stream. Anyway, GameStop also news.
I have no idea about this, so fill me in.
This is also pretty small, but GameStop announced, this is just an interesting thing when it comes to the industry in general. GameStop announced that they're not going to supply and sell console bundles that come with digital download games. And
really?
So they'll only sell bundles that have the physical copy of the game with it. And I think that's kind of... So the thing that everyone's saying about this is like, well, obviously they're doing that because it's for their own interests. They're looking out for their resale value. They want... Their pre-owned businesses where they really get the money, and so selling console bundles that have a game that you cannot possibly sell back to them is not advantageous for their business. And I think that is most of it. But I also think that like, I think there's some backlash probably with their customers getting digital games that they don't want to download or can't download, because people who go to GameStop, I bet a lot of them are in situations.
The worst example is the Wii U. Did you?
I don't know. I don't own a Wii U. I don't know anything about.
The biggest Wii U you can get is 32 gigs of internal storage, and
Jesus.
You can't expand it.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I mean, you can have an external hard drive plugged into it, but you can't get like additional storage on the console. And you get a free game when you buy the 32 gig version. It was Super Mario 3D World when I bought it. I think it's something else now, or there's just another option. Either way, that's a digital download. So that takes up several gigabytes of the very, very few gigabytes they give you. So yeah, it kind of sucks.
Well, even the
physical copies of that.
Even the PS4 and Xbox are both running into that problem where, like, even though they have much larger hard drives, so many games have come out that, like, someone who owns a lot of games, they'll reach the end of their, you know, capacity, and that's not necessarily a problem. Like, you delete your old games, but that means that if you want to go back and play that game, you're gonna have to download it over again, and it takes forever. Mm-hmm. Apparently, the PS4's like servers are just terrible, and so it takes forever to download games, no matter how good your internet connection is. But I also think that like a lot of people that go to GameStops are like people who live in rural areas and stuff where they probably don't have very good internet, and a lot of people still have like internets that are capped and stuff, where like they don't want to download 20 gigabytes when their cap is at 50
in some case.
Yeah, it's absurd. So I think in a lot of ways GameStop's just kind of trying to be pro-consumer for their consumers at least. Mm-hmm. Because that's also advantageous to their business. They want to be the good guys. So I just thought that was interesting. Also, I think there's some statistic out there. I can't tell you the source. I just kind of stumbled across it somewhere, where I think like only 20% of games right now are digital downloads or something like that.
Really?
It was much smaller than I thought. It's really like that whole. There's not a whole lot of. It's kind of mysterious, like what the numbers exactly are, and I don't know how trustworthy that source is. But like, I see a lot of sales figures coming out of like, here's how many PS4 copies versus Xbox copies of whatever Metal Gear Solid 5 were sold. But they're talking about physical copies and not even mentioning the digital download. And I don't know how prolific that stuff is, and it probably depends on the game and all that. But like, I don't know. It's God, we're in a weird spot right now where like Xbox wasn't going to ship with a disk drive, and that's kind of crazy because a whole lot of people, just they're not able to download games, especially not conveniently. It's weird.
Imagine if instead of a Kinect, every Xbox One came with a terabyte of storage.
Well, they don't come with Kinects anymore. They officially stopped doing that because Microsoft figured out what to do. And yeah, someone mentioned Australia. Australia in general, just like if you live in Australia, you're kind of fucked when it comes to internet.
Yeah, but you're kind of fucked in general.
Yeah, Australia sucks.
Especially everyone from it.
Yeah,
like you guys specifically.
Last piece of news here. Last piece of news here is that.
God damn it.
The what is it? Not writers. Actors and
the Voice Actors Guild. I don't know what it is.
GAFTA or something. Anyway,
SGAAFTRA, a division of the Screen Actors Guild.
Right. They are considering going on strike for their voice actors in the video game industry, which I was pretty surprised by. I didn't expect to see this because it's just like I didn't even know there was a union for voice actors because it's kind of. Voice actors are kind of the unsung heroes of a lot of games. You don't. There's not a lot of big name voice actors or anything like that, and you don't think of them like having a union. You think of them just doing like crazy random freelance work and just kind of being people out there on their own. But apparently, a lot of them are unionized, and they're getting in a scuffle with the major publishers about stuff like what they called stunt work, which is actually like if. Especially for video games, they're having to do like a lot of yelling and screaming and stuff, and that can obviously hurt their vocal cords. And so, the union wants to protect against that kind of stuff. And also,
They say, we believe actors should get stunt pay for vocally stressful recording sessions the same way they get stunt pay for physically demanding roles.
And I think that's kind of reasonable when it comes to voice acting, because for video games, I bet a lot of them are spending hours in the booth just screaming, because like that's what you do. You create death sounds and stuff. Yeah. I thought that was kind of interesting, because it's not, again, that's not something I thought about. And also, screen capping, or what do you think? Motion capture. They apparently that's not very regulated, and so they might ask an actor to do a motion capture thing that could be potentially physically dangerous, but you know, there's nobody on there to like. There's no experts.
Place they don't see it as being that dangerous.
It's weird. Yeah, it's interesting, but
let me tell you this: ping pong balls will not protect you from a falling set apparatus.
It's true.
I learned the hard way.
That's what they're for. They're for protection, but they don't do their job quite as well as you might think.
The truth is, we don't really know what the pay situation is really like. Clearly, they make less than Hollywood actors do.
Yeah, probably a lot less.
For similarly popular things, but there's such different budget considerations.
Time
it's not
and all that
expensive to point a camera at an actor. The expensive thing is getting the actor. For a game, making an engine that allows you to point a camera at anything, that costs a huge amount of money. So,
and one of the things they are asking for is kind of bonus payment for the game being profitable. And that's another thing where it's like, okay, I don't know what the industry standards are here. I think that's one of the big hitting points for the publishers that they're fighting against. That the publishers don't want to do this, because I feel like it's probably something that's pretty extremely different from what they're doing. But it's all conjecture. We don't really know the details. But the only facts that are out there are coming from the union itself, and the publishers haven't. I don't think they've made any statements or anything about it. So everyone's just getting one side of this issue. And then everyone's just saying like, "Oh, we have to help the voice actors, and we support their strike and stuff." And it's like, all right, come on, you gotta, you gotta figure out what's actually going on here, and we don't know. But I did think that the stunt work stuff was interesting and something that should be considered, because that's something that like I bet most publishers and stuff don't even bother thinking about, because you just don't think about it. You don't think about that being potentially not just dangerous, but just even in the short term, harmful for future work. Like if they're doing a lot of voice sessions and they have to be out for a couple days because their voice got hoarse, you know, that's a consideration.
David Hayter is fully on board.
Well, there you go. Now I'm behind it.
Making lots of tweets.
I think pretty much all voice actors are on board, because of course they would be.
But the biggest name, Troy Baker, has not said a word.
Oh, really?
At least as far as I know. You can. That's the thing. Except for some really huge names, Troy Baker being probably the most popular one. At the moment. Nolan North is the other.
Nolan North,
I'd say.
I was gonna say Nathan Fillion, I think, but he's done some voice acting,
cameos, really, or minor roles.
I think he has a major role in Halo 5, but he's not.
He's basically himself, I guess, in that.
Yeah.
But anyway, except for those huge names, most video game voice actors are kind of not expendable, but they feel like they could be voices that would be in any cartoon.
Yeah, and I feel like voice work is one of those things where, because a lot of the time, nowadays it's a little different because you are getting a lot of face scanning going on, but usually it's just the voice you're looking for. And I think a lot of developers probably say, for this particular instance, we can probably just hire some nobody and get the job done fine. Bethesda, for example, might say, we only need these 5 people who are kind of inexperienced to voice all of our characters, and it'll be fine. And all their fans don't care. And I'm going into my own little bias rant here, but seriously though, they do. I think they do think of voice actors as kind of expendable. Like if they want to be paid a lot, well, we'll just hire our programmer who has had some amateur voice acting experience or something, and it'll get the job done well enough that nobody will notice. Because voice acting is such a small part of most games. And the thing about the union is that as a publisher or a developer, you're either all in or you're all out. So if you hire a union member, I think you have to hire unions. Like that's it. You're in. You can't hire outside of the union, or they'll.
You know what I really kind of wish we could see?
What?
A year of games with no voice acting.
That would be. That would actually probably be advantageous to most games.
Yeah, it would.
Depending on the game, obviously. Metal Gear Solid 5 needed more voice acting. Well, they had a lot of good stats, but good old Kiefer, he didn't have to do a whole lot.
It was a very quotable game that you can quote all night.
Bethesda games would do very well without voice actors.
Speaking of crying all night, I don't really have a segue for this story, but I had a dream. I had a series of dreams. One was where Guillermo del Toro, or a close look-alike, passed me a letter in a public mall that said October 9th, 2015. Then he shot me in the gut.
Whoa!
And then he started executing everyone at the mall. But because
Jesus.
I realized what was happening while reading this letter, I started running away and got outside somehow. Anyway, last night I had a dream where Richard Gere, not the actual actor, but just some random old guy who happened to be named Richard Gere, kicked down my door and shot me. And then I woke up in a Groundhog Day-like scenario where this happened again. And then I went on a sort of high-speed chase through the city, and then he hit me with his truck, and then he killed me at a motel, and then I woke up again, and then barricaded the door. So that was my... Anyway, the point is that Groundhog Day was October 9th. So I come to understand something through this, that if I was a crazy person, I can understand why some people start to think that they're having, like, premonitions.
Is this video game related?
No, it's completely unrelated. It's just something I wanted to talk about.
We just gotta fill time.
No, I don't believe that it means anything. In fact, I know that it doesn't.
So you don't think Guillermo del Toro is going to come out with something in October 9th?
I think it is unlikely that Guillermo del Toro is going to go on a spree killing on October 9th. And Richard Gere, as far as I'm aware, is not a sadistic murderer who screams while killing me.
Right.
But, yeah. The point is, I got a little perspective of the mind of crazy people, and I wanted to share it.
That's great. I'm glad you got that perspective. I've been having fever dreams recently, and the only one I remember was I always get them. Like even like a really like even when I'm just like having a sinus infection, like just a really minor thing, I'll have crazy dreams. And last night's was I was in the military. I don't know if I got drafted or what.
Just
but one of the only things I remember. I haven't even thought about this until you started bringing up the dreams, but this is hilarious, and I didn't know it at the time in the dream. But one of the requirements during the training, like I was at boot camp, and everyone's like huddled together like it's football or something. Everyone's like in a huddle, and the sergeant says, "All right, everyone, pull out your Oakleys," and everyone pulls out their Oakley sunglasses and puts them on, and I was like, "I don't have Oakleys," and he's like, "You didn't bring Oakleys? You're in the military and you didn't bring your Oakleys?" And everyone was mad at me for not bringing my Oakley sunglasses. Yeah, that's all I remember for that.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got some video games to talk about.
Okay.
Well, one, Soma came out and it looks really cool and I want to play it, but I haven't played it yet. But did you see the TGS MGO trailer, Metal Gear Online?
Yeah.
That looks cool. It looks like an actual multiplayer game.
I'm so skeptical after the FOB stuff, though. I'm so skeptical. Like if you go back and watch the FOB gameplay,
because this is a completely different team.
Yeah.
So,
it'll probably be fun, but
it's just it feels tough to go back to that game. It's sad. I feel sad.
I haven't gone back to that game in the last week and a half.
I went back into. Besides what I've been recording, I played it for fun for like another 10 hours after our last show.
Oh, wow.
But still, a game like that, it could have had 300 hours in it.
It needs more story stuff to keep you going. It needs more than just those side ops.
Well, not even that.
Really...
Even if it has no more story stuff, and I'm just grinding out the side ops till the end of time and FOBs, assuming they were balanced maybe slightly better, but it's just it taints the experience. To know, I don't want to spoil it. We're not having another Metal Gear spoiler cast, but
I know what you mean. Yeah.
To know how it ends and what it means, it's like, what's the point? Why am I playing? So yeah, it just gets sadder as it goes on.
So I will. Let's say this is the end of the podcast. If you haven't finished Metal Gear Solid 5 and don't want to hear story spoilers, I'm just gonna. This won't take long to talk about, but I thought this was really fascinating as a theory. Jeff Gersman on Giant Bomb was talking about Metal Gear Solid 5's ending, and his theory, or at least a theory that he came up with, I don't know if he actually believes this is the case or not, but he thought that maybe Metal Gear Solid V was not actually Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, I actually thought the same thing at some point.
Yeah, that Kojima would actually come out with a Metal Gear Solid 5 that was Big Boss's story.
I don't think there's any chance of that happening.
Not happening, but I think there is a chance that could have been the plan. Considering like Ground Zeroes and everything, like just... Well, I don't know. Ground Zeroes feels like it might have been something that came out after all the financial difficulty stuff started popping up.
I think it was just a pretty obvious V pun connection, and like
that's what I thought at first, but I don't feel like a lot of people have been saying
it's not Metal Gear Solid V. That's just a.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people say like Chapter 3. I wish Chapter 3 was included in the game. I wish Chapter 3 was a thing. I don't feel like there was ever a plan for Chapter 3.
I agree.
And I feel like there's room for another Metal Gear Solid that I didn't think there would possibly be room for before the game came out. But then seeing the story that they presented, it was like, okay, you've got fucking the Metal Gear with Liquid and everything. Like that is a game. That's story alone.
Well, you know what? Maybe they could have turned it into another game, but it's just it's so bad that I really hope they don't. It didn't leave me wanting more. It wanted me to. Well, yeah. I wanted to stop.
It could have been better, though.
It definitely could have been better. I mean, we went into great detail of how it could have been better. It could have done everything better.
If it weren't for knowing that this was the last Metal Gear Solid game, I don't like. If I thought that there might be another Metal Gear Solid game in the future, I probably wouldn't be as disappointed with this ending. It's just the fact that this is how the series ends. That's what's so disappointing. If I knew, or if I thought there was even a chance that it's like, okay, we're gonna get another Big Boss game where that's actually the Big Boss, that's actually Metal Gear Solid 5 or whatever, then that would make this game okay in my mind, because it's like, all right, this is an interesting little meta commentary thing that he did. Doesn't exactly work, but it was an interesting attempt, and it was just a weird thing. But the fact that it's the climax to the series, or the not climax, but the ending, the grand ending of the series is that's what's depressing.
Yeah, this series could have gone out with a bang, but it went out with a wink and a nod.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
We've talked a lot about that, and you've got a video coming out, so we'll just end this fucking podcast because there's nothing else to talk about. I will say, though, live on record, so that everyone knows, people have complained about the RSS feed not being updated. I thought that was an automatic thing, but I guess you have to do that manually.
It should be an automatic thing.
Well, it hasn't been updating. 45 and 47, I think, are not updated on it for some reason.
Okay, I'll look into that.
So, we're looking into it. You heard it here first, folks. What else? I think there was something else. Oh, yeah. After this, I might start up a stream. I don't know.
Cool. I'll probably
look out for that.
I'm going to probably play Undertale, so I need something to talk about for next week.
Yeah.
It's been tough to just find time to
finish Witcher 2 and start playing Witcher 3.
Yeah, I mean, both. I want to do both of those things.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
You're the host. You end it, not me.
Folks, we're glad you joined us for this evening chat.
Sorry it was late.
This has been Push to Shout for Talcum Powder, Skippy Sumatic, all day.